Hey, Logan, how's it going, man? Thanks for letting me know. I did not notice that. So today we're going to be doing D&D campaign prep, where I'm going to be looking at the Astral Elves in 5th edition here, and then determining what I want to do with them, like whether keeping however much about them the same. No, it's fine. Like I really didn't say all that much anyway. Hold on a moment. Let's actually push that down a bit. We got a lot of room here. I'll actually make it a little smaller though. There we go. That's fine. All right, so we're gonna be looking at, drumroll please, these guys. Let me shrink myself down a little bit though. This is what they look like in the one of these books. I've got 2 books here that have them as fightable NPCs and then also as player characters. I guess we'll go for the NPC stuff first. Then under E for Elves, comma Astral. Or not, hold on. Are they under Astral Elves? I did a bit of gaming and family tree editions. Nice, nice. Sharkblood, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. We'll see how. This is a late one, but I don't have to go to bed all that early. Yeah, they are under A for Astral. Yeah, I'm doing all right. A little tired, but we'll see how long we can go here. But it'll be cool. It'll be cool. All right, I'll scooch myself out of the way real quick. Hold on. Also. I don't think I calibrated myself yet. Okay. All right, Astral Elves. They got an interesting look here. Yes, and also shrink myself down to get a little bit of a better look at them here. Also, is that? Let's shrink them down a little bit too. Put them in the corner. Them a little bit larger, and I can hang out amongst them. All right, I'll plot myself in the middle here. There we go. All right, so in Boo's Astral Menagerie, Astral Elves. Long ago, some elves ventured to the astral plane to be closer to their gods. There they ceased to age and could exist indefinitely without sustenance. Astral elves were among the first creatures to dwell in the Silver Void. As other explorers have reached for the stars, astral elves have had to reckon with violent neighbors and strange visitors. Over the eons, astral elves have clashed with numerous invaders, including Serlons, Mind Flayers, and Githyanki. I don't even know what Serlons are. Silent P. Yeah, how's the music's probably a decent volume, right? That looks okay to me. Probably. Hold on. What is it? Okay, yeah. When dealing with others, astral elves customarily cover their faces with ornate visors, becoming faceless extensions of their gods. Is this good? All right. Also, let's make this a little smaller here. Here, scooch this over. I like to have it lined up well. All right, that's good. And also, actually, I do kind of want to like to line this up if I can. All the irrelevant things. Good enough. All right. So anyway, the Astral Elves. All right. Their fierce devotion to the pantheon of elven deities is repaid with divine power. For example, the gods invest astral elf warriors with the power to channel the radiant energy of starlight through their weapons, just as they empower astral leaders with the ability to cast spells and summon solar dragons. Astral elves ply the astral sea with wild space in ships of their own design. These ships are fashioned from crystals harvested from wild space systems and bound together with an organic, plant-based material that hardens like ceramic. The elves sculpt these substances in various configurations to create star moths. See the Astral Adventurer's Guide and other vessels. The elves also reshape the petrified bodies of dead gods found adrift in the Silver Void, transforming them into floating cities and citadels. Although the Silver Void is their home, astral elves often venture into wild space systems and place their ships and citadels in orbit around stars. Astral elves do this for several reasons. Proximity to a star allows the astral elves to forge pacts with solar dragons to collect starlight, which the elves use to grow crystals and repair their ships. Most important, astral elves use their time outside the deep astral to replenish their numbers by having and raising children. Outside the deep astral. But there they cease to age. So I think, okay, there's the deep astral where they don't age, and the broader astral sea where they do, or can, or something. Also, what? Yeah, I'm blocking myself with the book. Many astral elves are thousands, in some cases tens of thousands of years old. Whatever their disposition, their longevity gives astral elves a perspective on time that few other kinds of creatures can appreciate. Whether they choose to live in quiet contemplation or strike out to explore the far reaches of the multiverse, astral elves tend to see events happening elsewhere as having little to no meaning to them. We got a little sidebar here. The book. The adventure included in this product features an amoral astral elf society called the Zarizian Empire. The empire is based in Zari space, a wild space system illuminated by an enormous radiant sun named Zaris. All right, then we got a couple stat blocks here, and we'll read about each of them. The aristocrat here. An astral elf aristocrat is brilliant, highborn leader, gifted with magical abilities, including the power to channel sunlight and summon a solar dragon. Astral Elf Commander. An Astral Elf Commander leads warriors into battle. He's a Spelljammer, one or more Spelljammer ships under their command. The commander channels the radiant energy of starlight through their weapons, and they can rescue warriors from a perilous situation by using their god's-given power of teleportation. We got an honor guard, the safety of important individuals and locations, whatever. Okay, priest. Common server of Spelljammers, not only as emissaries of the gods, but also as Spelljammers. Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for hydrate. Yeah, let's skip this song. Here we go. It's good. How are you doing, dude? All right. Spawn ships, defend Elven strongholds. Yeah, we're just chilling tonight. We're working on D&D stuff. Laying down, cool. All right. So I'm gonna need to look up that Zarzian Empire. But firstly, let's also read what it says in Astral Adventurer's Guide. This has all the player stats. And I turned directly to it. Beautiful. Alright, Astral Elf. Long ago, groups of elves ventured from the Feywild to the astral plane to be closer to their gods. Life in the Silver Void has imbued their souls with a spark of divine light. That light manifests as a starry gleam in an astral elf's eyes. Because nothing ages in the astral plane, astral elves who inhabit that plane can be very old, and their longevity gives them an unusual perspective on the passage of time. Some are prone to melancholy, while others might display an absence of feeling. Many look for creative ways to occupy themselves, whether they choose to live in quiet contemplation or start as explorers. We already read that. Astral elves. Then the sea through the lens of time. Astral elves who don't dwell in the astral plane can live up to more than 750 years old. All right, so here's the thing about the astral plane in other editions of D&D. Eldari, they might be kind of similar aesthetically. Or is that what they're called in a different thing? Okay, that's a Warhammer thing. Okay. Maybe. Okay, bring it a bit lower. All right. All right, how's that? Yeah, space elves, basically, yeah. So a thing in better. Okay. So in I think I'm actually just gonna turn it down in here. And turn it back up a little bit. Just a little. Okay, because I was turning it down for the whole desktop. All right. So the thing in older editions, the astral plane doesn't. It's weird. So the astral plane is weird for a number of reasons, and we could talk about that for quite a while. But in older editions, if you were to go to the astral plane and spend 1,000 years there, a drop in the bucket for astral elves. If you were to leave, go to any material plane, those 1,000 years catch up to you instantaneously. So you would basically turn to dust. Maybe even the astral elves. So, I mean, that's kind of a weird... That's sort of a difficult mechanic to play with, because then it's like, the astral elves... What do they do? It's like... I mean, obviously they would just need to have a magic or something. I know that's a thing that the Githyanki use. So that's kind of one of the questions that I want to pose to myself and others. Should, in my universe, the astral plane actually do that? Actually, firstly, should it even allow people to live that long? I'm leaning towards yes. That time does not pass, really. That said, that does bring up, you think here are just weird elves. No, they're not elves in any capacity. They have pointed ears, but yes. Yes, they're not. They're not elves. So what do I even... So, all right, the whole reason why the astral plane is like that is because it's basically the back... It's like the stage crew area of a play. No, they're not elves. They are not elves. If anyone has told you they're elves, that's like homebrew. Their real origin is not certain. They do not have a Fey ancestry. I don't think in any material in D&D. But they were made weird psychic things by the Mind Flayers, but they were, and it's not clear where they came from. Oh, okay. That's definitely a way you could piss them off. Call it Githyanki an elf. So it's like it's a place where like time is a sort of material, I guess you could say, in D&D. And when you go outside of it, you go outside of the material realm, that time is not there. And actually in other versions of D&D, time does pass in the astral plane, but extraordinarily slowly. So basically, when you go to the astral plane, you can... I think you would basically just, if you go to another material plane, it'd be like you're basically teleporting. Because that's actually kind of what happens when you open like a gate, like a planar gate. What is that space in between where you're at and where you're going is like the astral plane in a sense. Planetary assholes who have superiority complex run a civil war between two major factions. We fight evil. Everything else, it's just a big baddie everyone hates, and that's it. Well, I mean, I would disagree about the Civil Wars thing, and the Githyanki are pretty universally considered evil. They just hate the Mind Flayers, which everyone else considers even more evil. No, there are not. There are two Gith factions, the Githyanki and the Githzerai. They are different. They already broke off. The Githyanki themselves are lockstep behind their queen. Their undying necromancer queen. I mean, I understand how you get them confused. I've been playing with D&D lore for like 15 years now, 14 years. So I've read a lot about this stuff. So, I guess we might as well begin. Astral Elves. Mention all said, but replace Githyanki with Gith. Then I would say that the Githzerai are definitely not evil. They are aesthetics that just hang out and do monk things, where the Githyanki are absolutely evil as a society. The Githzerai are very lawful neutral. Lawful apathetic, kinda. But it's like they would if you get a Githyanki and a Githzerai in a room together, they will fight. If you get a Githyanki and a Githzerai in a room together with the Mind Flayer, they would team up against the Mind Flayer, kill it, and then kill each other. If they survive. Yes, those are the Githyanki. Yeah, they're all about taking slaves. Evil folks. So, Astral Elves. Let's see. Where are elves in disguise? Yeah, chicken and egg. I don't know who actually came first. But they're not D&D elves, is the thing. Astral Elves. I do like the idea that they live basically forever. Yeah, go for it. In your D&D campaign, that would be a good one. That would absolutely piss off a Githyanki. A Githzerai would not care. But then the next... Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go get the thing where they mentioned that Empire. I'm gonna go see if there's any lore on that. Pardon me as I slump over for a second. Bump my knee. No, they're, I think I'm pretty sure she's not actually evil. Okay, so I've got the Light of Zaresis adventure here. Oh, okay. Maybe she is. I haven't played it yet, so... Alright, here we go. Page 4. Zaresis. The light of Zaresis has nourished the Zaresian Empire for millennia, serving as a wellspring for the magical power the Astral Elves of Zari space used to sustain their empire. 1,000 years ago, the star's light began to fade, threatening the elves' prosperity. So Emperor Zavin turned the dying star into a parasite that leeches the life from worlds using crystal seeds harvested from the star. Interesting. After the elves select a suitable host world, ships known as star moths release hundreds of astral seeds. Spoilers, I guess. I don't know. Astral seeds into the planet's atmosphere. The seeds fall from the sky and bury themselves in the ground and the oceans of the world. After the astral seeds take root, they produce enormous crystalline veins. Tendrils of these vines extend deep into the world and draw life from it. Kind of makes you think of the Tree of Might. Mixed bag with her. Once the vines have sapped the world of its energy, a process that can take months, they send out a bright beam of light that travels back to Zaresis, temporarily replenishing the star's radiance and leaving the host world a barren husk. Although Zaresis shines brightly after each replenishment, it isn't long before the light of Zaresis begins to wane once more, presaging the doom of another world. Once astral seeds have taken root on a host world, there is no easy way to stop the transformation. The vines are too thick and too numerous to be uprooted. Destroying the star Zaresis, which acts as a lodestone for the astral seed, is the only way to free a world from their grip. If the star goes dark, the crystal vines release their stored energy back into the host world, shrivel and die. Yeah, petting the dog is good. So I'm not sure if I really like this background. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the Zaresian Empire. Is there a map of all the... It's 5 minutes at best. Wow. Interesting. All right. So, okay, we'll go with... So what are we thinking? As far as... I don't know, it's kind of anything. Alright, Astral Elves. I definitely want them to have a interplanar empire. Champion class for fighter. I think in the... Like, on average, it does the most damage, but it's the most basic kind of subclass. Like, it's not something that's like, hey, your numbers are bigger, it's just, statistically speaking, you will get more crits. And that doesn't... That generally doesn't feel as interesting as things like the Battle Master having different tactics. Yeah, exactly. That is definitely the appealing thing. It's for somebody that's like, I want to fight, but I don't want to have to really think too much about it. And that's fine. Just, I think for most people that are like into it, they would want something a little bit beefier, you know? But then anyone could say, just be a barbarian or whatever. I don't know. I've only played as a battle master, so I wouldn't know. I don't really have an opinion. And it's like the RP is what's fun anyway. It's not just roll big number for most people. Interplanar Empire. I'm gonna say, I mean, it's like, I feel like there should only be one. There should only be one Astral Elf state. So having So I really feel like their capital would be in the Astral Sea. And their empire would stretch throughout numerous worlds, numerous planar realms. And we can always change some of these. And we'll say here, okay, here's my thought. Their whole society so one of the big things with elves in general that people don't think about is that living for 10 times as long as basically the oldest general human, like a human lives to 80, props. If an elf lives to 800, that's normal. We have the 40k dark elf capital, basically where all the dark elves live, and it's its own plane of existence and basically an impenetrable fortress. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Excuse me. So I want there to only be maybe like a few million Astral Elves. And okay, so the thing is that if you want to have like equal number of humans and elves in any place, you need to have elves that live, because they live 10 times longer than humans, they need to have like 1/10 of the fertility. Because if you have an elf that lives 10 times as long as humans and they have even the same number of children, that population is going to explode. So where are all the elves? And why don't they rule everything? Because you underestimate, like, just imagine, you know how long ago 800 years ago was? That's kind of the most obvious question, but it's like, imagine if George Washington was only like middle-aged right now. And actually that's kind of a good point, Ohm. Like, what does that do to an elven society where if a woman wants a child, she's more likely to have a kid if she has sex with a human? Like, that is such a humiliating thing if you think about it. Now imagine, like, I don't think I need to explain that. Like, the superiority complex that elves have, just like the complex that you get from your women are more likely to have children if they don't marry you, but another kind of person. It's like, These are the things that are really weird in D&D once you actually think about them. So, Warhammer Fantasy is kind of the opposite, but only for decals, because it is simply that alluring to all human women. And so, I mean, just imagine if you're an elf as well, and you have that home. You have a home where you will live forever, and if you leave, even if you still live for like 750 years, like that's still the idea of, all right, if you leave, you're dying. If you're staying, you're not. And so, yeah, let's maybe say there are only great existential plane of existence. How does one age? They don't. In 5th edition, you might not have heard when I was explaining it. In 5th edition, it says that you do not age at all here, but there's kind of some deep lore in earlier editions that say you age just incredibly slowly, and when you leave the plane, the age catches back up with you. Exactly. You can't have children in the astral plane. That's also a thing. So you need to leave in order to have children. That's another question. So it's like you need to have outposts where you actually have children. But actually, I think a better thing to think of, I want to say that they are a decadent society. So they are not all that interested in having children. Actually, okay, so I think I don't want to have it so that you die if you leave the astral plane, because I feel like that just kind of makes if you stay there for too long, I feel like that just logistically feels obstructive. I kind of want to just say, all right, time is frozen here, and it's not. Because, like, what is time that would actually, if it doesn't exist there, what would force you to suddenly start aging when you come back? I don't know. Let's not worry about it. Decadent society. Low birth rate. For difficult. Disinterested. Maybe don't. Let's not talk. That's getting pretty off topic, and I think we would. We should avoid spoilers for that. Decadent society, low birth rate. Difficult to have children. Disinterested. Preferring. Rhetorically. Preferring Pleasure or example of different time frames working. I'll go for it. Just don't give specifics about the actual story, I guess. Pleasure or isolation. Oh, it works like 5th edition. So you... All right. All right, Interplanar Empire, capital in Astral Sea. One place time flows as we perceive normally in this area, but outside it, everyone is way faster. But to them, it's normal. Okay. Gotcha. Capital in Astral Sea. Do we want to say like 10 million? Like that's small. Like imagine like New York City. I think that's about 8 million, and then maybe 2 million outside, and that's their entire population. That's 10 million Astral Elves. Like they basically got up to that cap, and then they just kind of lost interest in children for the most part. And maybe it was actually even higher. Like over time, like they just get killed. Reasonably big? This is okay. It's not a continent. No, dude, like okay. Well, we got an ad. So, I don't know, just power through it. I think we'll just power through it. Well, you know what I'm talking. So, like 10 million. We're talking an entire. So the Astral Sea is infinite. Firstly, secondly, this is imagine. It's more like 10 million on a single planet, not a continent. And even a continent, that's like. Okay, I know this is not medieval, but like in Rome, like ancient Rome, they got up to about 1 million people. Like there were, yeah. Exactly. That's small. $10 million. In entire. I'll go and put you up here actually. Like when was the last time that there were 10 million human beings? That's probably like pre-Bronze Age. Like that's probably prehistory. It's actually Scoochie's up here. Bronze Age collapse, maybe. Yeah, 10 million, I mean, for an entire world. An entire world. And these are spacefaring people that they have outposts like throughout different solar systems, basically. Like, imagine you have 10 million and then you put, like, even... You didn't see people might have been from Italy, somehow north. Unlikely. It's more likely that they were actually from, like, Greece. What would become Greece. That's the best way to actually... Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they... I mean, just because they were Greek doesn't mean they wouldn't fight each other. All right, population around 10 million. All right. Universally mourned when one dies and locally celebrated when one is born. So it's like there are so few that when they live forever, basically, when one of them dies, that's like a tragedy. All right, we'll go ahead and actually put most live in Astral Sea capital. Outposts throughout. Is this confusing? I feel like I'm kind of like covering a number of things that are like interrelated. So maybe I should just make, I don't know. There are planes. Amara. Okay. Universally, I'll just say, mourned throughout Empire when one dies, locally celebrated when one is born. Decadent society. Yes, like the closest. All right, so I believe it's getting really off topic, but so we'll just kind of keep this quick. So the Cretans were a pretty distinct people from the mainland quote unquote Greeks. And I believe the quote unquote Greeks conquered the Cretans. And then the Bronze Age collapse happened, and then during that, I believe, another group came into Greece, and that it's uncertain if what the exact details were, but one way or another they intermarried, they kind of just melded with the people that were there, and they would become the actual Hellenic Greeks. Population of around 10 million. Most live in the Astral Sea capital. Outposts throughout let's go and say expansionist. Subjugating. Subjugating barbaric peoples to bring them into civilization, you know, so classic colonialism. It's like, we're so hot and you're not, so we gotta conquer you and bring you hot, you know. And this is also important because they need bodies. Like, when they are very elf behavior. Yeah, exactly. Except these guys are far from isolationist, oh, we just like our trees kind of elves. These guys are bastards. Like, they're not the kinds of folks, like, that's why I don't like that this empire is destroying planets, because that feels rather short-sighted. Especially when considering that these are people that are, by their very existence, are extremely long-sighted. The irregular elves. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Wood elves are the isolationists. It's bastards. Yeah, regular elves. Yeah, so it's like, it just feels illogical for the capital to be outside of the astral plane, totally focused on just destroying other worlds that they probably could just gather more important things from. Dwarf supremacist. And so it's like, just think about this. So the Empire is, if they've only got 10 million people and they go around conquering entire planets, like 1, maybe 2 planets is already enough to outnumber how many Astral Elves there are total. And I think that's, and so it's like they would, it's like, imagine in Halo, like how the prophets, you know, their race, whatever they are, they do none of the fighting. They just have different species that do the fighting for them. I just don't like elves. Okay. So if you're gonna be conquering peoples, you can either, yeah, it's like, I'll say, hierarchy of conquered races. Consider they play tall and not wide. That is possible, but I think far less interesting. Because then it's not really an empire. They just kind of have one thing. And it's like, and they kind of need that protection though, right? It could be England. They also played wide. Oh yeah, that's kind of the thing, yeah. But that's still playing wide by definition. Decadent society. High ranks, not actually maybe first we see all right, well, thanks for hanging out, dude. Yeah, have a good night. C low birth rate. Because it's like, if you live forever, what value would you see in bringing new life? Really? And I know that's also stupid, because like you can die, and that will eventually degrade your population. So maybe that's a tomorrow problem. It's like that's the kind of thing with decadence, is that there's obvious problems with viable solutions, but you're not interested in fixing them because kinda you don't see a point personally, like it doesn't really touch you. They have one very horny bastard and a harem of other elves. Honestly, that makes me think it kind of makes me think that there would be a place for like half elves, but they would be at a distinctly lower position. Like they would not be considered the same at all. Yeah, no, I figured. That, I mean, that's not a bad thing to bring up though, because like that's kind of part of the decadence, is that you would just like, it's just really promiscuous. Who said the other elves were? Yeah, also good point. Like when it's let's see, a little birth rate. Soon. Um, like, what if you, since they aren't aging, what happens with the whole baby thing? Maybe not a sudden one. I think that you just cannot have children. Like, you are infertile on the astral plane. So any impregnation would have to be happening somewhere somewhere in like wild space, somewhere outside of their capital. So it's like, it's not even like, there's zero chance of accidental birth.
Damn old dude just tells me to go places to find a.
Hold on, I'm gonna skip this one because it has lyrics and that can be distracting. So wild space is basically, all right, so imagine wild space is just everything around our solar system, like the place between Earth and Mars and Jupiter, so on and so forth. And the astral plane is basically everything out past the Kuiper belt, or past like Pluto or any of those things if you want. Yeah. So it's like there's space and then there's deep space. Okay, yeah, I see why that would be confusing. So the term in D&D for wild space is basically, it's basically everything. So like, wild space is the real space, and then you go from one system to another, and you're still in wild space. But the way you get between two is either, depending on what you're looking at, either you go through the astral plane or you take a phlogiston stream, which is like, imagine a river that takes you from one to another. And I'm thinking I want to have that be the much easier and safer route. The astral plane is far more dangerous and harder to get to, probably. So generally people are always, you're in wild space once you leave the atmosphere, leave the gravitational pull of a given world or whatever. So yeah, space. Decadent society. To a birth rate. Wild space is just regular space, like a wild kind of you. Sure. All right. Hierarchy of conquered races. We'll say I mean, we'd probably have like mixed Astral elf. Other elf mixed non I'll say mixed with other elf. Actually, let's number these. I'll have at least a couple here. Mixed with other elf. Mixed with acceptable. I'm using really bastard terms here. These guys are bastards, if you haven't noticed. Alright, enjoy your bathroom. Acceptable. Or civilized. Civilized, let's say, climatized? What's a good bastard word for them to use here? Acclimated? I kind of like that. It makes you, it feels like the Borg. It's like you haven't been assimilated, you've been acclimated. Mixed with acclimated race. Probably like humans that they conquer. But conquered race. We'll just say acclimated. Because like I don't want to say civilized because they're not, you know, as much as they're quote unquote bringing civilization to these people. They're never gonna be you can be as enmeshed in their society as you possibly can. You can be as astral elven in culture and practice as you can. You can even look like them as best you can, but you're never gonna be on par because they're bastards. Acclimated race. There's probably gonna be a better way to organize the stuff, but this is just how my brain's doing it right now. Acclimated race. Then would probably be the conquered. Yeah. Song. That's probably. Yeah, that was probably from Mark Hamill's Joker. Conquered non-acclimated race. So kind of just like anyone that would probably hang around, like just like people that would go to their empire or that they would just run into on any given place. And there may be like a sub-category for acclimated races, like preferred ones. You know what, maybe I should... Well, I mean, that's kind of what it is here, like acclimated, conquered, like preferred, and then... Honestly, do we even put... Yeah, I mean, there's probably even a big gap between mixed with other elf and mixed with acclimated race. Let's say maybe unsubjugated. Probably maybe a bit better. A bit more logical. Nope. No, not segregated. Though honestly, that makes sense as well. It's like I do that to kind of just check to see if the spell check has caught up. Conquered, not acclimated race, unsubjugated, non-acclimated race. You know what? Maybe not even race, because I feel like it depends. Like if there's a human from one planet that's conquered, they probably like them more than ones that they haven't. So it's probably not even race. Let's say it's just maybe foreigner here. Tolerable foreigner. And there are probably some humans that they would prefer to others. So yeah, race is probably not even correct here. Tolerable foreigner. Barbarian. Now, do I want to say there's like something below that? Like just straight up unclean and undesirable? Probably. Undesirables. They make these plural. Yeah, I know that they actually started moving away from using the word race in D&D at all. Kind of like, hey, welcome back. You bring a massage? All right, I'm ready. All right, so mixed with other elves, mixed with acclimated peoples. Hi. That was a wonderful massage. Mixed with acclimated peoples, then acclimated peoples, conquered non-acclimated peoples, so kind of like recent conquests. Tolerable foreigners. Barbarians. So probably people that they have bad repertoire with, or anyone that they're kind of they're fighting at the moment. And then straight up undesirables who would be purged. Those are probably... like Mind Flayers, good example. Githyanki. Probably they might be under barbarians. Maybe orcs. Orcs also might be somewhere in between. But like, you know, undesirables are, I mean, these guys are bastards, but they're not like genocidal. Undesirables are probably like straight up generally monsters. So I mean, this seems about right. No, no, no. I mean like monsters. Like at most generous, maybe orcs who have a very good potential to, well, some kind of potential to not be monsters, but historically in D&D they are pretty monsters. And I think it even depends on what kind of orcs. Like there are technically different kinds of orcs. Like they're the ones that are like the green or gray skinned ones, and then there are like the pig ones, which are kind of like the old school orcs. That's getting into weeds. Alright, population of about 10 million. Most live in the Astral Sea capital. Outposts throughout plains, low birth rate, difficult to have children. Disinterested, preferring life of pleasure or isolation. Yes. Yeah. That is definitely the most common orc, but in D&D, I don't think they really exist around much, but then there are orcs that are like pigs, kind of more like Ganon. And they're actually worse. Like they are just straight up unreconcilable. They'll just like kill you or eat you or do worse. Where the other orcs may like kill you and conquer you, and may actually be able to be chill dudes if you can kind of have an accord. Like they are, you can talk with them. These pig orcs, I think they're mountain orcs. Yes, like that is very standard orc, but those guys cannot be reasoned with. They're kind of evil by nature. Even though they are intelligent, they're like evil by nature. At least I'm pretty sure that's the understanding, because like there's Lord of the Rings is very black and white when it comes to morality. I don't think Tolkien ever had the thought or really considered, okay, maybe these guys, maybe eventually you could kind of be all right with them. Nah, that's not quite what they're dealing with. They are literally created by Devil Man. Makes you feel bad for him. Yeah, and again, not Tolkien. So that is acceptable in its own, like it's acceptable as canon, but understand that that's not what Tolkien probably wanted to portray. I mean, okay, that makes sense. Like saying that the orcs are misunderstood is going a bit too far in like Lord of the Rings. Like they can have their own dreams and passions, but they're pretty much monsters. Well, at least unreconcilable bastards. One up basically explains how carpentry is like fighting, but you beat wood instead. And you see, that is something that I find would be acceptable, because that is something that if you didn't have Sauron, then maybe they could actually build a functioning society. I don't know how they would reproduce, because I know the well, in the movies at least, the Uruk-hai come out of the ground. They're grown. But I think that's how all of them are in the books, but I'm not sure. I don't think that's how it is in the movies. Yeah, I've got one of them. I think the second one. So I've got them on my list. Shadow of Mordor. All right, Deccan Society. Okay, now this is something I want to get into. So they are high ranks are bestowed less, I will say unmeritocratic. So it's like, if you're just kind of important, they will always put an astral elf above any of these other people in a position of power. So it's like never will you see, when you watch Lord of the Rings movies with your best friend, you realize the third movie would have traumatized you as a kid in an unrecoverable way. Wow. Why is that? Oh, they made Shelob a hot woman, because... Yeah. Oh, because... Oh, spiders. Okay. Like, I kind of want to say aristocratic, but... Like, I mean, they're kind of all... I don't even know if they would be... In their own society, would they be... How much of a hierarchy would there be? Oh, this is Tekken Tag Team? Interesting. Just the very thought of a massive spider. What have got you? Let's say uncommonly earned. I feel like I want to say that their society is actually... It's meritocratic amongst themselves, but okay, I think that's actually kind of cool. We'll say... Like your worst nightmare as a kid on the big screen. Ooh. Non-astral elves. Let's see. Among astral elves, but non-astral elves never have authority over them. Like, never. Never. The episode of SpongeBob with the butterfly ruined you. When it just like buzzes, when it lands on them and they see it as being like a gross bug, gross fly. Really crack among astral elves, but non-astral elves, I'll say maybe mostly meritocratic. Mostly meritocratic. Mostly meritocratic. He's a kid, gets slightly uncomfortable, and then bzzz. Oh, that's funny. That was just like the intro before it actually gets into the rest of the song. The real genuine noise. What do you mean? That was the genuine noise. You didn't hear my fly collection? Once again, lyrics, so I'm gonna skip it because it gets a little distracting. I'll say, okay. Sexually promiscuous. Marriage. Purely. I would say purely ceremonial. Purely ceremonial. And kind of thing, like, even if they do end up having children, they'd probably be raised by probably the mother. The father probably wouldn't care. And maybe even the mother would only, like children are very important in a way, but also like not in the day-to-day. They are not, there's no joy in having children or being a parent for these people. And because like there's no consequences for sex and no real value in children, so there's like kind of no reason not to just do whatever. I think a lot about the logistics of I think a lot about what it means to have an elf in a society and how it would function. All right, so I think this is good. I'm probably going to call it here, though. Well, maybe not that quite closely. There's definitely other stuff that I would want to talk about. Let's see about making some like we would say magic, maybe technology. What other things would be broad that I would want to work on that would have more detail in it? Oh, I love this song. Like magic, technology. I don't really know you know the Kitsune race in your friend's D&D campaign and how marriage works. Okay. We'll say like astral magic, or yeah, astral magic. Well, then religion. That's another thing. That's actually very important. How seriously will they take it? That's kind of another question. Because it thought it would be funny to go home and say, "Hi, mom, dad." Okay. Because like part of me feels like their decadence would lead them away from really practicing their religion. But at the same time, they're so close. The whole point of going where they were, at least in the lore as is to gain proximity. But then when they have it, maybe they lose interest. Like maybe it's just become so normal for all of them. And also it could just be like purely like not real faith or love or belief. It could be purely transactional, perhaps. But it is getting late. I've been going for about an hour. Yeah, I mean almost 2 hours, but actually, do we want to go a little bit further? How would they believe in astral sign? Would they believe in astral signs? How do you mean astral signs? Like just portends? Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. That kind of sign, like a zodiac sign. That would be interesting. That's not a bad idea because they're kind of all in space and stuff. Alright, but I think I am going to call it here though, because it's getting late. I should go to bed in about an hour, and I kind of want to chill a little bit before then. So this is cool. I like working on this. I'll see about maybe doing this more often on my late days, because I already did get some proper writing done earlier. Got an hour of that in, and just like a real short stream, like 2 hours max on Mondays. Maybe what I do going forward, if I feel like it. Zodiac sign, but the actual spiritual stuff and magical. That is a good idea. I do like that. That is something I think about sometimes, especially, you know, it's like a thing in you choose your zodiac sign in like Elder Scrolls games, and they give you special abilities. So I'll try and keep that in mind, see if I want to involve this with these guys. But so yeah, we're gonna be done for the evening. Tomorrow, no stream. Wednesday will be, because we're not doing Stardew, we will do Victory. Victory. Let's let the song play out. Last 20 seconds. No, because Soul nor Aveda will be available for it. All right, well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.